When Judge Henry Caldwell summoned Claire Bennett to his courtroom, he thought he'd found an easy target, a humble literature teacher who dared to challenge him publicly. His plan was to humiliate her, derail her career, and soothe his bruised ego. But as Claire stood calmly in her navy cardigan, gripping her notes, the judge had no idea he'd just set the stage for his own downfall. Claire Bennett brushed a strand of dark hair behind her ear as she wrote, "Symbolism in Contemporary Fiction," on the whiteboard. Her senior class at Maplewood High watched, some attentive, others eyeing the clock. In her 10th year teaching, Claire cherished every moment, despite the usual classroom hurdles. "Ms. Bennett," called Ryan from the back. "Why bother with symbolism? Can't we just read the story?" Claire smiled, setting down her marker. "Great question, Ryan. Literature isn't just a story, it mirrors justice, truth, and human struggles. Dig deeper, and you see the world more clearly." The bell rang, and as students packed up, Claire spotted the school newspaper. Its headline read, "Local Judge's Ruling Slashes School Funding." She frowned, recalling last month's town hall where she'd criticized Judge Henry Caldwell's decision to redirect education funds to a private development. In the teacher's lounge, her colleague Sarah nudged her. "Heard you stirred things up at that town hall." Claire shook her head. "I just spoke the truth. Caldwell's ruling was legal but wrong. Those funds were for schools." Sarah warned, "You poked a bear. Caldwell's got connections." Claire shrugged, gathering her papers. "I'm just a teacher with an opinion. What's he going to do, sue me?" What few at Maplewood knew was that Claire had graduated with honors from law school before teaching. She'd interned in courtrooms, but found her passion in literature, shaping young minds to think critically. Driving home, she thought of her grandmother, a small-town lawyer who defended the underdog and taught Claire that law was for protecting the vulnerable, not flexing power. Her grandmother's law books lined Claire's apartment shelves, a quiet nod to a path she hadn't taken. In her cozy one-bedroom, Claire kicked off her shoes, ready to grade papers. Her answering machine blinked. "Ms. Bennett, this is the municipal court clerk. You're summoned regarding a traffic violation from last month. Judge Caldwell will preside. Appear Friday, 9 a.m. Claire frowned. A ticket for a rolling stop 3 weeks ago? She'd paid it online. There should be no issue. Unease crept in as she recalled Caldwell's icy stare at the town hall. Odd, she muttered, checking her payment confirmation. She didn't know this was the start of Judge Caldwell's calculated scheme. Judge Henry Caldwell's chambers radiated power mahogany shelves with leather-bound law books, gold-framed certificates, and a desk that dwarfed visitors. Adjusting his tie, he reviewed Claire Bennett's file, a thin smile forming. "Martin," he called to his clerk, "get me everything on this teacher." Martin nodded, uneasy. He knew Caldwell's tone meant trouble. "The traffic summons was sent, Your Honor." Caldwell leaned back, fingers steepled. "Good. She thinks she can question my judgment publicly? I've sentenced criminals with more respect." Martin shifted. "Sir, it was a public meeting, free speech." Caldwell's eyes flashed. "It's not what she said, Martin, it's how. Citing case law, questioning my statutory interpretation, she made me look foolish before the town council." He snapped the file shut. Who does this teacher think she is? What irked Caldwell wasn't just Claire's criticism, but its precision. Most public comments were emotional rants, easily ignored. Claire was different, calm, citing legal precedents, exposing procedural flaws. It felt like a lawyer's challenge. "Find out everything," he ordered. "Education, jobs, connections." Later, Martin returned with a slim folder. "She's taught at Maplewood 10 years, lives alone, pays taxes, no record. But she graduated law school 15 years ago, top of her class, never took the bar." Caldwell's eyebrows rose. "A law graduate." His smile grew. "She knows enough to be bold, but not enough to fight me in court." He turned to the window. "Martin, amend the summons. Change it to failure to appear for a court hearing. Add contempt." Martin paled. "But, sir, that's judicial discretion." "Martin," Caldwell cut in. "A lesson in respect. A fine or community service will teach her to stay in her lane, maybe a mark on her record for disrespecting the bench." Martin nodded reluctantly. Caldwell's influence in the judiciary in town was ironclad. Few challenged him. Most defendants paid his fines to avoid a rigged fight. That evening, at a dinner with town leaders, including the school superintendent, Caldwell mused, I'm concerned about teachers undermining institutions. This Claire Bennett situation, for instance, bad example for students. Sipping wine, he eyed the superintendent, who nodded nervously, aware of Caldwell's sway over school budgets. I'll look into it. Caldwell smiled. Just a small matter, but teachers should teach, not critique judges, right? The trap was set. Claire would face not just false charges, but professional pressure, ensuring she'd regret her words. The Maplewood High faculty meeting ended, but Principal Larson asked Claire to stay. His face was grave. Claire, the superintendent called. You're in legal trouble. Claire blinked. The traffic ticket? I paid it. Larson slid a paper across. It's about failure to appear and contempt. Judge Caldwell personally raised concerns about teachers disrespecting the judiciary. Claire's mind raced. This makes no sense. I paid the ticket. Here's the receipt. Larson sighed. The superintendent says this could trigger a contract review if it escalates. Claire's stomach sank. This is about the town hall, isn't it? Larson's silence confirmed it. At home, Claire found a court notice, charges for failure to appear and contempt, requiring her to face Caldwell in 3 days. Hands trembling, she called the clerk. Our records show you were notified to appear last Friday. The clerk said curtly. You didn't, so Judge Caldwell issued contempt. Claire insisted, I never got a notice. I paid the fine. Here's the confirmation. The clerk was unmoved. The system flagged it for appearance. Talk to the judge. Claire dug out her grandmother's legal files and researched Caldwell online. Articles revealed his rulings favored developers, with complaints against him mysteriously stalled. Sarah called from school. Larson's asking about your classes, if you push politics on students. What's happening? Claire's jaw tightened. Caldwell doesn't like criticism. Her fear turned to clarity. Caldwell had underestimated her. Game on, she whispered, opening her grandmother's book on judicial ethics. Claire sat on her living room floor, surrounded by legal texts, printouts, and her laptop, hair in a messy bun. She traced patterns in Caldwell's rulings. It's not just me, she murmured. 3 years ago, a journalist criticizing him faced sudden audits. Last year, a lawyer challenging him got baseless bar complaints. Caldwell used minor infractions to settle scores, subtle enough to avoid scrutiny. A text from Sarah. Larson's observing your class tomorrow curriculum review. The pressure was mounting. Claire paced, weighing options. Fighting could risk her job. Yielding would let abuse slide. A photo of her grandmother on the shelf sparked a memory. Don't fight power with power. Use preparation and truth. Claire made 3 calls. To a law school friend at the state bar, to a former student now a journalist, and to the court, stating she'd represent herself. The next morning, she taught with focus, despite Larson's presence, noting her discussion of truth in To Kill a Mockingbird. After class, Larson said, maybe apologize to Caldwell. This could escalate. Claire smiled. I teach integrity. Standing up is right, even if it's hard. She slipped a recorder into her purse, reviewing her notes again. Caldwell expected a scared teacher. He'd face someone who knew the law and had nothing to lose. Claire spent 2 days preparing, taking a personal day to consult an attorney herself. At the county law library, she studied judicial conduct and contempt rules. Librarian Mrs. Hayes noted her focus. Real research, not Google. You're not a lawyer, are you? Claire smiled. A teacher with a legal background and a situation needing precision. At the courthouse, she requested Caldwell's contempt case transcripts. The clerk raised an eyebrow. Unusual for self-representation. Claire nodded. I like thoroughness. Back home, she built a timeline. Her paid citation, the missing notice, the town hall criticism, and the sudden contempt charge. Her journalist student, Alex Tran, called. Caldwell's contempt charges spiked 400% since he took the bench, targeting his critics. I've got names mailing now. Be careful. He's tight with the county exec and school board. Claire refined her strategy. Focus on her case's procedural flaws. Hint at a pattern only if needed. She chose a navy cardigan and black slacks for court professional, not lawyerly, preserving her surprise. Practicing arguments in her mirror, she kept her tone respectful but firm. She packed her grandmother's briefcase with evidence, payment receipts, citations, rules, and cases. Tucked between notepads was a sealed envelope with backup she hoped to avoid using. Her grandmother's words echoed. Be more prepared than they expect. Claire felt calm. This wasn't just about her, it was about stopping power abuse, just as she taught her students. The municipal courthouse buzzed, lawyers shuffling, clerks calling names, defendants waiting. Claire sat in the back, watching Caldwell's brisk rulings. He was curt with defendants, deferential to prosecutors, and quick to interrupt self-represented litigants. Clerk Thomas, whom she'd phoned, avoided defendants' eyes, uneasy with Caldwell's harshness. Docket 52C, Bennett, Claire failure to appear, contempt, Thomas called. Claire approached, setting down her briefcase. Caldwell barely glanced up, his disinterest rehearsed. MS. Bennett, you're charged with failing to appear for traffic violation TR 202-356-789 and contempt for ignoring a summons. How do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor, Claire said steadily. There's a misunderstanding I'd like to address. Caldwell's eyebrow twitched. The facts are clear. You were notified to appear October 12th. You didn't, leading to contempt. If I may, Claire said, I never received that notice. I paid my October 1st citation online October 3rd. Here's the receipt. She handed it to Thomas, who passed it to Caldwell. He glanced and dismissed it. Payment doesn't excuse a court appearance. The citation required it. With respect, it didn't, Claire countered, producing the citation. No court date is listed, and the online portal showed the matter resolved. Caldwell's annoyance flickered. MS. Bennett, your classroom may give you the last word. In my court, I decide proper notification. The condescension drew glances from attorneys. I understand, Claire said calmly. But due process requires actual notice for contempt. Can the court provide proof of the notice I allegedly received? Caldwell's jaw tightened. This wasn't his script. Mr. Thomas, show MS. Bennett the notification record. Thomas fumbled, producing a form. Claire reviewed it. Your Honor, this is dated October 8th and signed by a process server, with no certified mail receipt. Municipal Rule 7.3 requires proof of delivery for contempt. Caldwell's face darkened. Observers shifted. MS. Bennett, your amateur lawyering tests my patience. Your town hall comments last month show your issue with authority. That's the real problem. There it was, the link Claire needed. A reporter scribbled furiously. I wasn't aware my protected speech at a public forum was relevant to a traffic ticket, Claire said, respectful but firm. Caldwell flushed. Your attitude is the issue. I find you in contempt. Fined $2,000, 40 hours community service. He banged his gavel, expecting closure. Your Honor, Claire said evenly. I'd like to make a motion. This is over, MS. Bennett, he snapped. A motion for recusal is always timely, she pressed, citing Judicial Rule 2.11. The courtroom stilled. Caldwell stared, stunned. On what grounds? Claire opened her briefcase. I'm happy to explain. Claire stood tall, hands on her grandmother's briefcase, the courtroom silent, all eyes on the teacher challenging a titan. Your Honor, I move for your recusal on 3 grounds. She pulled a folder. First, you link these proceedings to my protected town hall speech, suggesting retaliation. Caldwell's face hardened. You're on thin ice, MS. Bennett. Second, Claire continued. Procedural irregularities indicate this case was handled improperly. She showed a printout. My citation was marked resolved October 3rd. On October 7th, post-town hall, it was manually changed to require appearance, without notice. My records request shows this is the only citation in a year altered after payment. Murmurs spread. The court reporter typed rapidly. Additionally, Claire said, I've documented 8 cases where your critics faced unusual contempt or penalties. Caldwell slammed his gavel. Enough. This is contemptuous. Which leads to my third point, Claire said, resolute. Judicial Canon 2.2 forbids letting personal interests affect rulings. She held the sealed envelope. If you won't recuse, I'll file a Judicial Conduct Committee complaint with evidence of your pattern against critics, procedural errors, and testimony from 4 others targeted after opposing you. Whispers buzzed. Attorneys scribbled. The reporter gaped. Caldwell's face paled. MS. Bennett, where did you learn this? Claire smiled faintly. I graduated summa cum laude from state law school, Your Honor, before teaching. My grandmother said law and knowledge protects against its abuse. She set her hands down. I request the record reflect my evidence of irregularities, bias pattern, and recusal motion. If denied, I'll appeal under the collateral order doctrine, per Hampton v. County Court. Caldwell realized his plan had collapsed. The teacher had outmaneuvered him. The courtroom held its breath as he called a 15-minute recess. In chambers, Caldwell's arrogance was gone. What do you want, MS? Bennett, he asked, voice tight. Justice, Claire said. Dismiss these charges with prejudice, recuse from my or Maplewood High matters, and review 8 similar cases. Back in court, Caldwell spoke curtly. Charges dismissed with prejudice. I recuse myself from MS. Bennett's future matters to avoid impropriety. Outside, a reporter approached. MS. Bennett, any comment? Claire smiled. The system works when we know our rights, including judges. 2 weeks later, teaching To Kill a Mockingbird, Claire saw Principal Larson and Superintendent Hayes enter. After class, Larson said, I owe you an apology. I should have backed you. Claire nodded. You were in a tough spot. Hayes added, Caldwell's on leave. School funding's restored. That evening, Claire found her grandmother's law school photo, restored, with a note. From your students, thank you for showing us standing up matters. Smiling, she touched the law books. Education was her justice. If this story inspired you, share it. Have you faced misused authority? Where are you reading from? True power is knowledge and courage. Pass this on to someone who needs it.